Lowcountry Food Bank continues to give people access to dignified, consistent, and equitable food here in the Lowcountry. Today, I talk one-on-one with the CEO of the food bank, Nick Osborne, for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Nick Osborne, welcome to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you very much indeed, Quintin. Happy to be here.
Oh, I appreciate it greatly. Needless to say, you are the CEO of the Lowcountry Food Bank, which has done tremendous work here in the Lowcountry to basically help people who are in need of food and other necessities here in the Lowcountry. And as we sit here right now, Mr. Nick, tell me what's new, what's now with the Lowcountry Food Bank?
Well, we're busy this time of year, as you can imagine, as we come into the holiday season. So we're doing what we can to get prepared for and get ready for that holiday season. But, in many senses, the holiday season is like any other time of the year. I mean, there is an extraordinary need within our community, and we're here to serve our community. We're serving our community in partnership with our network of partner agencies across the 10 coastal counties that we serve. So obviously with Thanksgiving coming up, and obviously the relevance of Thanksgiving, the coming together of family, the celebrating, being together, we want to make sure that those of our neighbors that don't have access to the necessary food are able to get food that they require and that they need when they need it, so that they can celebrate the holiday season in the same way that any one of us is as well. So we're busy preparing and getting ready for that and working with our partner agencies so they can serve their communities effectively, efficiently, and in a timely manner.
Absolutely. And Nick, a lot of people are running around between now and Thanksgiving, obviously, to go to the stores and get the turkey and the stuffing and the macaroni and cheese. How many of those people that are actually in need here in the Lowcountry are coming to you all for that right now?
Well, again, we are working through our partner agencies. So people, our neighbors don't come directly to us. They will go to their local food pantry, their local partner agency, and our partner agency will support the community. So we work with 230 partner agencies across our service county, and those partner agencies are distributing about 89% of all of the food that we distribute across those 10 counties.
Wow.
So in a year, we are distributing around about 42 million pounds of food.
Whoa.
So 89% of that is being distributed through our partner agencies. Just to give a bit of perspective on that, because when I say 42 million pounds of food, I mean, well, what does that look like? Well, if you imagine trucks parked back to back, that line of trucks would stretch over 15 miles. So that's how much food in a year is being distributed to our neighbors across our 10 coastal counties.
And you touched on this a little bit earlier, Nick, but how many of your, for instance, hunger relief partners independently source food to provide another amount of meals to those people?
Well, we're fortunate, and so are our partner agencies, to be able to source food from a variety of different sources. So we have an amazing partnerships with our retail partners. So those retail partners that anyone will go to and shop on a daily basis. So the Publix, the Harris Teeters,
Yes.
the Walmarts,
Right.
the Food Lions.
Sure.
They support our work tremendously, both our work and our partner agencies' work. So probably around about 40%, so around about 15 million pounds of food is donated or rescued from those retail stores to go out to our neighbors. This is wonderful food. We also work very closely with our local farming community as well, because obviously part of what we're doing is it's not just about providing food, it's about providing nutritious food. So for us, nutritious food, it's about protein, dairy, and fresh produce. So probably around about 40% of what we're distributing in partnership with our partners is fresh produce. We receive resources from USDA, and of course our partnership with foundations, corporates, individual donors all contribute to our ability to serve our neighbors across our service area.
That is really amazing. So let me ask you this, Nick. What is the biggest difference when it comes to rescuing those foods and actually those foods being donated? How much of it's being rescued and how much is actually being donated?
From retail partners,
Yes, sir. Oh, yes, absolutely.
it's effectively one and the same. I mean, so
Mm,
it's basically our retail partners for a variety of reasons. I mean, our retail partners have a supply chain. So food is
yes.
coming in, they're selling that food, but sometimes when that food comes in, they need to make space
Yes.
for the food. So that is then donated to us.
Mm,
It's wonderful food. It can be proteins, meats, you name it, and it enables us to then take that and provide it to our neighbours. This
mm.
potentially could have been food that otherwise would have ended up in landfill.
Wow.
This is wonderful food that is still perfectly within its date life and is absolutely perfect for our neighbours and enables us to both save it from going to waste to a landfill, but also enables us to get it to where it's needed as quickly and as efficiently as possible to meet the need in our community.
I never knew all of this information, so I thank you for sharing that with me and the viewers. So we didn't know that. But let me ask you this, Nick. You talk obviously about the protein and dairy, all the good things that we need.
Mhm.
Oh, out of that category, well, out of those categories, I should say, what is the exact need right now? What do people want?
People want access to food in the same way that you and I do. And again, the reason why we talk about nutritious food is that it's about making sure that the food that we're able to provide is enabling someone to lead a productive life. I mean, we all need nutrition. So um, about 60% of what we distribute is either protein, dairy, or
Mm,
produce together. And we do what everything that we do is distributing food with dignity.
yes,
We're
sir.
working with our partner agencies in terms of being able to provide food to our neighbors in the same way that you and I would access food if we went to a grocery store. Choice, making sure that someone has choice in terms of what it is that they want to eat as well.
Mm,
So, what we're doing is providing food in exactly the same way as anyone would have access to food in a grocery store through with dignity, through choice, and meeting those needs and those types of foods that people, any one of us, wants to eat on any time at any day.
and when you think about that, Nick, what has been the remaining unmet need right now here in the Low Country?
Well, we hope that there isn't an unmet need because we're doing everything that we can to meet that need. I mean,
Yeah.
and again, there are obviously. I mean, we're not working in isolation. I mean, we work with other organisations. We also work with organisations that provide other services as well. Because at the end of the day, when we're looking at someone that is facing a problem, who doesn't have access to food, the chances are that they're also facing problems in their ability to pay for rent, pay for their transport costs,
Right,
pay for their utility
right.
bills. So we have to look at addressing someone's need with all of that in mind. So, for example, our ability to provide food where it's needed, when it's needed, means that is a neighbour, therefore, perhaps can use what limited resources they have to then pay for transport or pay for their utility bills. So again, when we talk about need, the need is everything that goes on in someone's life and our ability to meet that need. And we do that by working in partnership with other organizations, other partners who are meeting that need as well. So that together, working in collaboration, we're able to ensure, as per our vision is as an organization, that we're pursuing a nourished and thriving South Carolina.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know your business. I don't want to hold you up too much, but out of those counties that you all serve, obviously as the Low Country Food Bank, where which particular counties actually need the most food right now?
That's a really good question, Quintin. I mean, we serve counties from Horry County
Yes.
right down to Beaufort, Jasper, Hampton.
Oh yeah.
And within those counties, you've got very different typologies.
Yeah.
We serve counties that have large urban areas. We serve counties that are predominantly rural.
Oh,
So, for example, in terms of absolute numbers, the county that has the greatest number of food insecure individuals or neighbours is Horry County.
Mm.
But then you come down to one of our rural counties in Jasper or Hampton, the absolute number of people that are food insecure is less because the population numbers are less.
Mm.
But then at the same time, the challenges in a county like that is predominantly rural. So access to those counties and those neighbors is more difficult. And also in those communities as well, there are fewer other options. You're looking at retail businesses that are closing down in a lot of rural areas. So there's very little choice. Whereas in a location like Charleston County or up in Horry County, if you're in a more urban area, you have more choice and more access to other options as well. So it's a combination of different things. In numbers, Horry County and Charleston have the highest numbers, but in terms of percentages or proportions of neighbors who are food insecure, you're looking at some of our more rural counties like a Beaufort, for example.
Wow. And this might be a off the beaten path question, Nick. And you just mentioned this just a second ago about some of those retail businesses closing. When it comes to obviously food and groceries, how has that affected the Lowcountry Food Bank?
Food and groceries, in what sense, sorry, Quintin?
Yeah, with some of the grocery stores closing, how has that affected your particular organization?
Okay, yeah, it's very good. So we very much we focus a lot on data. We focus a lot on understanding where the need is and how that need is changing. So, for example, in an area where there's less access or less availability to a retail store, maybe there isn't a retail store there at all, or maybe there's a retail store that has moved out and closed. We're closely monitoring those changes, and therefore we have a variety of different programs that can respond to that. So we have a menu of different programs. We don't just, as I mentioned, we work through partner agencies that are based in communities that service communities. We also do a lot of direct to neighbor distributions where we take food out to communities and are able to service those gaps that exist. We have partnerships with the school system. We have a lot of programs through schools as well. So we run school markets. We have backpack buddies, school pantries that are also filling those gaps in and making food more readily available in those areas where there are gaps and neighbors are limited in terms of what their choice of accessing food is.
And let me clamp down on the gaps for a second, Nick. Where else do you want to close those gaps in terms of what you just mentioned to me?
We're always, I mean, those gaps are changing continuously. We continue to monitor. So again, a lot of those gaps can be in the more rural locations. So, counties like a Williamsburg.
Oh, yes.
Or even you take a county again. Let me go back to Horry, for example.
Yes,
I mean, typically, I think we envisage an Horry County as one with Myrtle Beach and a lot of businesses.
yes.
But I think that the challenge in an Horry County is a lot of those businesses are driven around the hospitality business.
Right.
That hospitality business is seasonal.
Yes.
So what happens out of season when there are no longer those jobs out of season? But also in Horry County, you've got large areas of rural populations as well. So again, we're matching our response to both those different situations, but also those different times of the year as seasonality changes as well.
Man. Oh, hey, Michael. And I know from experience, my brother graduated from Coastal Carolina University, so we know all about Horry County immensely and love that area. As you know, right now, there's obviously issues with inflation and other situations right now, some people being laid off and whatnot. What other trends are you all keeping an eye on from a Lowcountry Food Bank standpoint?
Well, obviously, I mean, we pay very close attention to issues of inflation. What is the impact that inflation is having on household budgets? Also, what is therefore inflation has many different implications. It's both in terms of transport, the cost of transport. Cost of transport goes up. It means that our neighbours can't both travel so readily to get the resources that they need or the food resources that they need. It also has implications in terms of their ability to travel to work the
Right.
cost associated with traveling to work. These are all compromises. I think the other trends that we continue to look at as well is looking at the trends in the shifting of populations as well as you get influxes of people coming into the state of South Carolina, especially on the coastline. What implication is that having as house prices go up, the cost of rent goes up, and people can't afford to live in areas where they have lived in the past. So they're moving further inland to some extent. Goose Creek, Somerville, Walterboro, for
Right.
example. And therefore, how do we make sure as those shifts are happening, we are able to serve and support those neighbours as they're moving as well. So those are a lot of the trends that we're focusing on. And also trends in terms of the need associated with ensuring that the nutrition is getting to where it's needed as well too, whether it be seniors, veterans, or
Yes.
also importantly our school children as well.
I don't want to single out anyone, Nick, but what is your biggest demographic when it comes to serving food here in the Low Country?
Again, we service families.
Mm.
So we don't differentiate. I mean,
Right.
our categories of service, we service children because obviously childhood hunger is
Yeah.
significant.
Mm.
We are looking in some of the areas where we work, especially up in the northern region, so up in those Williamsburg counties. You're looking at nearly 1 in 5 children who are food insecure. So that's a significant challenge. So a lot of our programs are focusing specifically on that demographic, if you like.
Wow.
I mean, you look at our seniors as well. You have a senior population who continues to need support as well. I mean, a senior that maybe has gone through life that's saved some savings and felt that those savings are sufficient, but then when inflation starts to hit, they find that their savings are less able to support them. So therefore, we're able to add the support that's required. But also families in general. And I think one thing that we try and focus on as well is that there is that potentially is a perception in people's minds of maybe what a hungry person looks like. Someone who is facing hunger and food insecurity can be anyone. I mean, it could be someone that has lost a job. So someone that finds themselves in a situation where they've suddenly lost their job and they need to get back on their feet. And during the time where they're looking for another job, they may need some temporary support. Similarly, a senior who thought they had sufficient savings in their retirement. And also focusing very much on children as well, because at the end of the day, if we can focus on addressing issues of hunger amongst our children, that's going to prepare that child to being much more able to succeed in life as they grow up as well.
Yeah. And my last question for you, Nick, is this. What are those other issues of hunger that you see trending upwards in the next couple of years?
I think, again, continuing to make sure that we're able to provide a balanced, nutritious diet. I think we're seeing the shift in the way hunger is as a lot of the access to food starts to shift in relation to population shifts. Again, down in the southern part of our service area, and when we're investing significantly in a new facility down in the south to meet the changing needs and the requirements down in the south. So we're building a new facility, a 20,000 square foot facility, which will better serve our southern region because we see that those Hampton, Jasper, Beaufort counties are going to continue to see increasing issues of hunger and food insecurity. So how do we make sure that we have the infrastructure to be able to get the food that is needed to those communities as quickly and as efficiently as possible?
And in what way do you expand the food bank's budget to invest in deeper partnerships over the next 10 years?
Sorry, Quintin, you repeat the question?
Oh, yeah. In what way do you actually expand the food bank's budget to invest in deeper partnerships over the next 10 years?
Well, I mean, we rely significantly on the generosity of our community, the donations that we receive. The more we also want to tell a story of the change that can happen as a result of supporting our community.
Mm.
the fact that if you're investing in addressing issues of childhood hunger, it means that that child is going to grow up and be more productive in the future. So being able to tell those stories enables us to be able to meet the budgetary requirements because we can tell the stories of success. We can tell the stories of how change can happen. And that enables us to reach the budget's requirements. I mean, ideally, in the next 10 years, I would hope that we see a situation where the levels of hunger and food insecurity start to reduce as opposed to increasing. I mean, we've all come through a pandemic, and we've seen the number of people who face hunger and food insecurity increase. As we come out of a pandemic, you've then got the tail effects of inflation and the cost of living, even though we've all forgotten about the pandemic, but the implications over the longer term are still there. But hopefully in 10 years, we're going to start to see the number of people that are facing hunger and food insecurity reduce as a result of the work that we do, but also as a result of the work that many of our partners do as well in and across the service area where we work.
And we thank you all for your commitment to the community and serving this community for a long time. We greatly appreciate it. Nick Osborne with the Lowcountry Food Bank, thank you for your time. And again, welcome to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you very much indeed, Quintin. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome anytime.